Somebody, please take away my freaking laptop. Somebody, please stop me from watching Green Book. Somebody, please take that film away from me. I know. Hello everyone. It's Adrian, and you're welcome or welcome back to the channel where I talk about my unfiltered thoughts and opinions that nobody asked for. If that sounds like something that you're into, like and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get right into today's episode. Yeah, like you've seen from the title, somebody needs to take away my laptop and just basically ban the film Green Book from me, because I cannot tell you how many times I've watched that film. And I'm not saying this to like exaggerate anything, like I'm being serious. I've watched it again and again and again, and right now I'm talking about it. I just finished watching it. I just finished watching it for the what, 10th 11th time, I don't know, somewhere there, you know what I mean? Because when it first came out, I never saw it, because if you know anything about me, you would know that when things first come out, I don't watch them. I do not watch them when things are popular, when they're trending. I don't watch them, I don't watch them. And I remember watching the Actors Roundtable, and Ali was talking about it and all this kind of stuff in the Actors Roundtable. I feel like I've watched almost all of them because I'm an actor and I have to watch that for educational purposes. I'm not in acting class right now. I'm not taking any acting classes, so I listen to that. I also practice my own craft, acting on my own. So I think if you're an actor, I think the best thing that you can do for yourself right now, if you're not taking any acting classes, or if you don't have any money or access to that, you can watch the Actors Roundtable. They always drop a ton of wisdom on the industry as well as the craft, and I think it's something that you should be watching. Anyways, I remember watching the Actors Roundtable, and Mahershala Ali was talking about it and all this kind of stuff, and I was like, yeah, it kind of is popular right now. Everybody's talking about it. He also won an Oscar for it, if I'm not mistaken. And again, everybody was talking about it back then, and I was just like, I am not gonna watch it because everybody's watching it. It's really popular, so I'm just not gonna watch it. I just never felt the need, or I never felt compelled to watch it. Fast forward to a year. Was it a year? Yeah, fast forward a year later, I decide I'm gonna watch it. So I watched it, and from the first time I watched it, first of all, I was hooked. I'm not gonna talk about it because I do not want to give any spoilers if you have not watched it, but it's basically the story about Dr. Shirley, who is a pianist. Well, he is more than a pianist, but this film mostly focuses on his journey and his story on being a pianist, and basically going on this journey to tour and perform for all these really rich white people. And I don't like to talk like that, but that's what it's about. And again, I do not want to get into the details of it all, because I feel like the more I keep telling you about the film, I'm just gonna find myself spoiling it, and that's not what I want. But it's about that. It's about a pianist, a black pianist, you know what I mean, a black great pianist, and basically his story about that whole thing and his whole world, and how different it was for him during that time when other black people were still in slavery, and he was like this really super educated and talented and successful black man, and how basically he navigated the world at that time, you know what I mean? And again, I'm not gonna keep talking about it because I'm just gonna find myself spoiling it, but it's about that. And again, it's a story about that. And from the first time I watched it, I was just like glued to the screen, And I'm not gonna lie, when I first started it, I judged it, because let's be honest, we all do judge things, you know what I mean? And when I first clicked on it and watched the film, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be one of those like super boring films. But also, I know that I'm an actor, and it's almost impossible for me to find a film boring, because when you're an actor, you see films differently, you experiences them differently. It's not like a typical person who's just gonna watch and be like, okay, this is boring, you know what I mean? Like, for us, we look deeper than that. For us actors, artists in general, we look deeper than that. So I was like, yeah, this might be boring, but let me keep watching. But 10, not even 10 yeah, 10 minutes in, barely 10 minutes in, I'm glued to the screen. I'm like, oh god, this is gonna be great, this is gonna be amazing. And I watched the whole thing, and I was so hooked, and I got so touched by it, to the point where at the end of the film, I had to just like pause it. You know, when they were showing the credits and everything, I had to pause it and just like sit in my room alone in silence, and I had to like do a full-on self-reflection session for like an hour, and just like basically talk to myself and self-reflect on that, and how that made me feel, and what I just watched. And it was just like this, god, like, oh my god, like, I can relate to this guy. I'm sorry, but I can. You know, it's like, I can relate to this guy. And you know, the performance that Ali was able to give, and the thing that he was able to do with Dr. Shirley was just amazing. The performance was phenomenal, but I'm not here to talk about that, because we all know that he's literally great. He's a great actor. You know, he was phenomenal in it, but he knows that. I think he does. We're not here to talk about that, because we always give him his flowers. We know how good he is, and it was just great. You know, it was just the performance, top notch, amazing, perfect, gorgeous. You know, a gorgeous performance. But I'm mostly here to talk about the story and how that impacted me. You know what I mean? Again, I did, if you check the last video that I just did, I did a video on Sinners, and basically what I think, and gave my honest thoughts and opinions on that. But I think with this is a film that, obviously, I watched it before I got to watch Sinners, and the effect that it had on me, to the point where I cannot stop watching it. I can't stop watching Green Book. I can't. And I know my experience is really different. I did not freaking grow up during that time, or nor did I really ever have to experience most of what Dr. Shirley had to experience and endure. But I can relate so much to him. You know what I mean? I can relate so much to the guy, because I'm gonna talk about a few scenes that really just hit home for me. You know what I mean? Since that really hit home for me, and since that, just, I was like, this is great, this is amazing. And I think one of the scenes is, if you watch the movie, there's this scene where him and the driver, I mean, what's his name? Is it, I forgot, Tony. Yeah, Tony Lip. Him and Tony, the driver, the Italian driver, was basically driving him to his shows, and he basically got a flat tire. Was it a flat tire? I don't know. Something happened with the car, and it stopped working, and they had to stop. And they stopped by the fields where there were all these black slaves, black people working on these fields and all that kind of stuff. And he stopped. Tony got out of the car to go check and see what was wrong. And Dr. Shirley, had to get out and also, you know, catch a breath. And he got to basically witness all these people, all these black people like himself, working on these fields, because they basically had no choice, and they were slaves, and they had to do that. It was in the deep freaking South, you know what I mean? It was like deep in the freaking South during that time, and they had no choice but to work on those fields in the freaking sun, because they were slaves. We all know that. And Don had to basically stand there. Like I've said, he wasn't a slave. He was a really successful black man, successful and educated and talented black man. And him just getting out and looking at them, it's one of those things that they don't say much. He doesn't say anything. The other black people on the other side don't say anything, and the look that they looked that this hopeful look that they were just giving him, and by looking at him like, oh God, like, look, during this time where he working as slaves, there's this guy, this black guy who looks exactly like us. He's dressed really really nice. He's in this really nice car, and he's getting driven around by this white Italian guy. Like, the difference, and and something that you could see in the face of the slaves is, you could see this hope. And I don't know if you catch that. I mean, if you've watched it, but if you haven't, please go and watch it. But there was this look on the slave's face, this look of not only shock that they'd never seen anything like it before, but something that I could personally see was this look of hope. Like, he's there, we're here, and if he could do it, maybe we can also do it. Like, if he could get educated and basically be able to be in that position that he's in right now, good position, they would say, compared to what we're in right now, I think we can also do that. There was just this really shocked and hopeful look on their faces. And going on the opposite side with Dr. Shirley, there was this like a look of guilt. Almost, it was this look of guilt. It's like, okay, I'm here, I'm in this really fortunate position, and we have these slaves that have to work tirelessly on these fields because they have no choice, and I'm here. I'm not in the position that they're not in the position that they're in right now. And it was just this look of like guilt on his face, because he knows, he knows. And I feel like he probably has had to experience that his whole life, where other black people were basically have always been able to kind of like, I don't want to say ostracize him, I don't want to say what word was I gonna say, I don't want to say like God, what's the word? I'm trying to word this really carefully, but I feel like he's always grown up in a position where other black people have, where basically he's never fit in with other black people because of him and who he is, and basically the fact that he was educated. Most black people in America did not get that opportunity to be able to get an education because they were not allowed to, you know what I mean, and be able to like, get all this education and be in this really fortunate position where he could even do what he loved and basically not be a slave, and them not having those same opportunities. And it's almost like Dr. Shirley couldn't relate to them, and they could not relate to him, and there was basically this gap in a way that it's like, you can't relate to me, I cannot relate to you, therefore there is nothing that we can really talk about. Or there's this thing of, they always thought that he was full of himself in a way, because it's like, look at you, you're rich, you have money, you're educated, you dress well, you get to hang out with all these white people and perform for them and all these things, and we have to be out here in the sun and basically work our butts off and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, we cannot relate to each other, and he always felt excluded for that, you know what I mean? It's always this thing where he always felt excluded from these people, because it's like, we are not in the same position that you're in right now. And basically he always felt alone, and like he could not relate to them. And it was just like this really powerful scene. Again, nothing was really said in that scene, but it was just so powerful. It was such a solid scene. I was like, oh my god, this is great, this is amazing. And another scene, it was this scene where him and Tony Lip had just gotten out of jail because they got locked up for beating up the police officer. Again, if you have not watched it, this is not gonna make sense, but please watch it, then come back to this video, you know what I mean? It was this scene where Tony Lip, the driver, had just punched a white officer in the face for calling Dr. Shirley the N-word, and it was just this powerful scene where they were arguing, and Tony was basically telling Dr. Shirley about the fact that he is not black enough because he cannot even relate to his own people. He doesn't dress like them, he doesn't speak like them, he doesn't even know what they eat, what they wear, and their culture, and what kind of music that they listen to. It was basically kind of like this stereotype, like you're black but you don't even know your own culture in a way. He was basically referring to a stereotypical black man, and Dr. Shirley simply is not that. He does not dress like a stereotypical black man in America, or talk like one, or act like one, or even be in the same spaces as them. So obviously he's gonna act differently and express himself differently, and basically Tony Lip was coming for him, for that. He's like, you don't even know your culture. And Dr. Shirley was just like mad. He was like, stop the car. He got out and he gave this really powerful, well, it's not a speech, but it was this really powerful monologue, basically expressing about how much that makes him feel alone, and how he's lonely about the fact that he's up there at the top, and he's in a position that is really fortunate, and that any black person would want to trade places with, but he also feels alone because he cannot relate to the other black people, because again, he's alone. He can't relate to them because he doesn't live the same life as them. You know what I mean? And it was this monologue about, oh, if you think I'm not black enough, and my people don't think that I'm black enough because I always hang around these white people and I don't act like them. And again, it was along the lines of that, basically him expressing how alone he feels and how much he cannot relate to his own people. And that was just such powerful monologue and just speech. And I was like, oh my god, like I have a little bit of these things that I can really relate to him, where we as black people, we are expected to act, talk, sound, dress up a certain way, and when you don't talk, act, or present yourself in a certain way, or in a stereotypical way that people would assume a black person would act or talk or present themselves as, you kind of like shun a little bit. It's like, you're not one of us, you know what I mean? And yeah, that was something that I was like, oh my god, that's something that I can definitely relate to. And it just again reminds me of how much the arts are, films are not just films, being able to tell stories like that, being the fact that we're in a point where in this world we're able to tell these stories about all these really great people, great talented people. It's like, it's just not a film, it's deeper than that. It's people like me or anybody else who's able to relate to it, can be able to like relate to that and be like, oh my god, I'm not the only person who feels like that. These films inspire us. Not only do they inspire us, they teach us something, they educate us, they inform us. They make us feel less alone, they make us feel understood, they make us feel seen, like we're not alone. And I think that's the point of art. That's what art is for. Again, and going back to that same thing that I talked about Sinners in the last video that I did, is that I just don't like when people try to say that a film is just a film, it's just a movie, it's not that deep. It's like, no dude, shut the hell up. It's always deeper than that. Only a dumb person who has zero media literacy would be able to look at a film like that and be like, well, it's just a film, I just want some entertainment and be able to escape. Like, dude, please, And it just reminded me how much the arts are important, how much cinema and film and writing and being able to tell all these stories is important. You know what I mean? It's very, very important and very, very powerful. And it's just, I'm just extremely grateful for the fact that I get to be in an era where stories like that get to be told, you know what I mean? And I get to experience that again. I'm obsessed with that film. It's one of my favorite films. It's up there. Like, it's definitely hands down top 3. I'm not kidding. it's up there with Whiplash, because Whiplash is like my favorite film of all time, you know. So it's definitely up there with Whiplash. And I know I just like rambled. I'm like stumbling upon my words. I'm stumbling on my words, and I'm just like mispronouncing things. And it's like, yes, this is how people talk in real life. Yeah, you have to. I'm sorry, you have to deal with that. It is what it is. It's part of being human, I guess. And I'm not cutting anything out. This is it. And yeah, but I don't want to make this episode too long. That is all I have to say for today's episode. I love you. Take care of yourself. Sending you virtual hugs and kisses. Subscribe if you feel like it, and if you're more into this kind of talks. Again, I wish I could film videos for you guys, but I'm not in a point where I'll be able to do that yet. So soon, probably. And yeah, as long as I'm still putting things out, that's all that matters. Love you. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye. Please go watch Green Book. Oh, please watch it. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you look like. Go watch Green Book. Go watch it. I don't care how many years it's been since it came out, but it's a really, really good film. It's a must watch. Go watch it, please. Okay, I love you. Bye.